We need a great reset on the public participation process on two EWC bills. The first is the Constitutional Amendment Bill that will allow for expropriation without compensation and is being dealt with by an ad hoc committee. And the second is the Expropriation Bill, which also makes provision for expropriation without compensation in wide-ranging circumstances. And I'm going to focus particularly on the Expropriation Bill for now. This is being dealt with by the Portfolio Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure. And it's received about 90,000 written submissions on the Expropriation Bill by its deadline of 28th February 2021. So it's had about 2 weeks to look at all those documents. It obviously hasn't really done so, and yet it's nevertheless intent on pushing ahead with hearing oral presentations next week in Parliament. But it doesn't know who among those who submitted written submissions asked to make oral presentations. So it's simply making its own choice as to who should be invited. And there's a great risk that many organizations and individuals who asked to make oral presentations, who have important information and analysis to bring before the Portfolio Committee, will unfairly and arbitrarily be excluded. So the process is flawed and it really needs to be halted. The committee is trying to meet some kind of arbitrary deadline it's set for itself, but the Constitutional Court has stressed that all citizens have a right to participate in the legislative process and that that constitutional right is more important than Parliament's arbitrary deadlines that it might set from time to time. So we are going to write to the committee of the Portfolio Committee and say that this process is deeply flawed and it needs to be started again. And what needs to happen too is that there must be a proper socio-economic impact assessment of the enormous costs and consequences that the expropriation bill is likely to bring. The bill is supposed to have been tabled with such a CS report attached to it. Instead, all it dealt with was the kind of limited bureaucratic costs that might be involved in hiring more public servants to implement its terms. What really counts is the damage to the economy that it will cause, and that's what a CS report needs to cover. So the IRR has a simple message to the Portfolio Committee: stop the flawed public participation process, decline to deal with the bill any further until first we have an accurate CS report which sets out all the negative costs and consequences of the expropriation bill, that thereby enables ordinary South Africans to know about the issues raised by the bill. And once we have that CS report, there should be a new public participation process with people able to make written submissions that are properly taken into account, able to make oral presentations that extend to everybody who requests this, not the committee's arbitrary choice of who should be allowed to do this. And through this great reset on the public participation process, we should be able to get to a much better outcome on the expropriation bill, which has enormous ramifications for the country and all its people, and could be hugely damaging. We only need to think about what has happened to Zimbabwe to be fearful of bringing Zimbabwe to South Africa. And we need to ask the committee to do a proper job, comply with its constitutional obligations, do a great reset on the public participation process.